Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And today we're going to be talking about why your ex isn't contacting you. Because they're evil.
This is probably something you guys are thinking about every single day.
Yeah, you kind of get obsessed on it. Why haven't they reached out yet? It's been X amount of days or weeks or even months.
Yeah.
Am I ever going to hear from them again? Okay? So, obviously, every situation is different and every breakup is different. Okay, I like to say that constantly because there are so many different types of breakups and so many things going on differently in each situation that, I don't want you to think that it's a one-size-fits-all type of thing, right? And, obviously, when we're doing a general video, it's a lot different than if we're talking to you one-on-one and assessing what happened or what's going on. But there are things that we see and issues that we have and reasons that we keep seeing as to why your ex hasn't contacted you yet. Okay, so one of the big things is that if you think about what they're going through, they ended the relationship. For whatever reason, they didn't want to continue. Maybe they were unhappy for any number of reasons. They end it. Well, to make a big decision like that, you don't want to make a big decision in life and then just change your mind right away.
Right.
Most people aren't going to do that. Most people are going to kind of see it through, thinking that this is what's right for them. And a lot of times what happens when they do that is they start to feel relieved. Okay? Now, it's not complete relief. There is some anxiety in that, and there is some fear in that, and that they are going to lose you or they might lose you depending upon how you've handled yourself, right? If you're begging and pleading, they're not going to be as likely to think they're going to lose you for a while. So they're going to feel some relief. And a lot of times, shortly after that kind of relief, they kind of start to feel elated and good. We call that separation elation. Okay? They're just like, okay, now I'm going to move on. Now I'm going to move forward with my life. That wasn't working. And they really believe that in that moment. Okay? It's not like they're lying to you. I think they really do genuinely believe for themselves that this is going to be better for them. So they want to be free. Okay? And a lot of times they will act like a very different person than they were in the relationship, right? And it's hard to see it.
Yes.
It is so hard to see your ex acting like a different person. They're partying. They're going places they'd never go with you. Sometimes they're doing things that you wish they would have done with you. And that's like infuriating.
Right. And them not contacting you in itself can be something very out of character. Maybe they were somebody who responded super quickly to your messages. Maybe they were somebody who would text you every hour. And so this is very much a shock for you.
Yeah. And so they look like a different person. And that usually lasts at least 3 to 4 months. I really think that you got to, depending upon other factors, but I think that's the minimum of really just acting kind of out of character of how they looked in their relationship before they kind of settle down, because they're enjoying this freedom. I know it hurts to hear, but they are enjoying the freedom, and they're feeling relief. And so they're going to go through some other stuff. And that's why they're not ready to reach out right now.
Right. And this is very confusing for you because you're likely on the opposite end of the spectrum. You're probably in a place where you're very heartbroken. You might have a loss of energy. You might not be excited about the world as you know it because they were your world. And so it's very natural for you to not understand this concept of how could they be elated? How could they be relieved if they also lost what we had?
Yeah.
And we understand that fully too. You just have to understand they're in a completely different mindset. So the next reason as to why they are not contacting you is likely because they are still processing events of the breakup. So after this separation elation, after this feeling of relief, oftentimes exes do reflect back on the relationship and think back in the ways that they were hurt and the issues that they had in the relationship. Maybe they didn't feel heard. Maybe there were problems that they didn't even vocalize to you. And so it takes time for them to really think about these things, process them. And they might be hesitant to reach out to you because they are not emotionally ready. And this is very important to remember.
Process takes time. Margaret says it in the videos. You have to listen carefully. Process takes time.
Yep. And there could be a lot of residual feelings of anger, of guilt, of frustration. And many of you are very familiar with the silent treatment. People don't want to engage in close and intimate conversations with people that they are angry with.
Yep.
They might still be battling with that anger. So remember that. I mean, it does take time for people to work through these emotions and these residual feelings from the breakup before they are able to change their perspective on it. When you're angry with somebody, you see them very differently from when you've processed that anger, understood your emotions, worked through it, and then look back at the situation with more clarity and more peace.
Yeah, even when friends and family. If you think about when you're mad at your friends and family, sometimes you're so angry at them, you're just like, I'm not ready to talk to them. I'm not ready. Think about it. I'm not ready. Even with friends, if you think about the last time you've been mad at a friend, right? They did something to upset you. You're just like, I'm just not there yet. I'm just still emotionally charged by it. And so they're not ready. But through time and processing, hopefully they will get to that place. And, but you have to take a step back and give them that space to allow them to be ready again.
Exactly.
Okay? So this is a tough one, but it happens a lot. A lot of times your ex leaves you and starts seeing other people. Sometimes they were talking to that person before they ended the relationship. Sometimes they meet them shortly after.
Right.
Obviously, I think it's more painful if they did it in the relationship.
Oh, yeah.
But it still hurts even if they came shortly after. But for me, it wouldn't sting as much if they did it after as opposed to in, right? So they start seeing other people, and if they met this person ahead of time, they've kind of got this fantasy of this new person.
Right.
And I like that because I know that fantasy doesn't usually last, okay? Because I've seen it fall apart so many times. But for you, when you're going through that I think is probably one of the things that's most upsetting and bothers people the most, is knowing that their ex has moved on, at least temporarily, to somebody new. And now we're convinced that this new person is going to get attached like we were.
Exactly.
And I've lived that several times.
Right.
And it does happen, okay? I can tell you, I had a breakup many, many years ago that the girl left me and wound up dating this guy, and she did marry him, and she's still married to him. The thing about it is that I think they knew each other for a while, worked together for a while, and they had liked each other for a while. And once he kind of found out that I was in the picture, that's when he wanted her. So I didn't understand that at the time. So sometimes that does happen. And, I wish her the best. That's great. She was meant to be with that guy. But, it hurts when it happens because it feels like this person is better than us. You like this person better than what we had?
Right.
How could you?
And it's most of the time a very unfair comparison because you are comparing an attachment and a bond and something long-standing with somebody that they likely met recently, with something that's new and exciting and novelty, which, yes, it's exciting on its own, but it's nothing compared to when you're close to somebody and know somebody intimately, know what type of coffee they like, know what their favorite foods are, all of these small little intimate details. And so don't get caught up in the comparison too much, although I know it's an anxious trait. It's something that you tend to do when you are worried and feel threatened.
Yeah. A lot of times people will date somebody else after their breakup because they're afraid to be alone. That is huge.
Right.
And the more insecure the person is, the more likely they're going to do that. Not always, but I think a secure person is going to be more likely to take time, process, heal before considering dating new people. That's what I'm trying to say. Right. Is that insecure people are going to be more likely to jump into something new, fantasize about somebody new, that all these unmet needs are finally going to be met, and things of that nature. Okay, so they're afraid to be alone. They want a distraction, keeps them from thinking about the pain, but try not to act threatened at all costs. You don't want to act threatened by that other person. Just because they start to date other people, it doesn't mean that at some point, when that falls apart, and it often does, that they won't come back to you.
Yeah. Another point that we want to make is that they could also be dealing with other things behind the scene and other life stressors. And this is something that people so often forget about, because when we're in a breakup, it's like our mind laser focuses on our connection with them, and we tend to assume that whatever's going on in their life is a result of the breakup and something that we did and something that we caused. People are very hard on themselves. And so it's important to remember that we don't live in a bubble, and there could be other factors in life affecting your ex. There could be illness in the family, there could be depression, mental health issues. There could be financial stress. Maybe they have children and are dealing with issues with their children. There are so many factors that affect us and affect our relationships. And so something that can be keeping them from contacting you is whatever else they are dealing with.
Yeah, all those factors are going to impact somebody. And you just have to understand that everybody goes through it differently and is impacted by different things at different times, depending upon your situation. But ultimately, you really want to give that person the space that they need to reach out when they're ready. And you want to work on your attachment issues and becoming a more secure, confident person when they reach out. Okay? And if you don't, they're likely going to see that you haven't grown and they're going to be turned off by it. If you do, they're going to be a lot more likely to think, wow, they really have changed, have made some changes, and they're going to be more drawn to you naturally, okay? So it's a process. Like we said, stay committed to the personal growth. Do the workbooks 30 minutes a day or the creative healing course. At the end of the week, you're going to have learned a lot. You're going to have grown a lot. Each week that goes by, stay committed to it, and you'll be in a good place when they do reach out.
Exactly. And many of you are so focused on, why hasn't my ex contacted me yet? When the real question should be, what can I be doing to prepare myself for a healthy, fulfilling relationship?
That's right. All right. So hopefully you found this one helpful. Let us know in the comments section. Of course, you want to get our help personally, you could do it on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Also, Victoria is here for Skype coaching.
Yes, and I'm excited to speak with you.
So that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.